It was a moment that many would never forget. The kind of moment where a person's true character is revealed. A moment that would change the course of 2 lives forever. In the heart of the city, nestled on a busy street lined with upscale boutiques and coffee shops, stood a small but thriving business, Everglow Interiors. The owner, Thomas Reed, was a man who prided himself on the company's success. His business had been a staple in the city for over a decade, and his reputation among his peers was untouchable. His designs were sought after, his business was booming, and he had built his empire from the ground up. But for all his success, Thomas had a dark side, a side he didn't like to admit even to himself. Deep down, he held prejudices that had been ingrained over years of societal conditioning. He never considered himself racist, but when it came to hiring, he preferred applicants who looked and sounded like him, white, privileged, and polished. It was this mindset that brought him to one of the most regrettable decisions of his life. One rainy afternoon, a young black woman named Aisha Johnson walked into Everglow Interiors, dressed in a smart blazer and a confident smile. Aisha had been searching for work for months, bouncing from interview to interview with no luck. She had the skills, the qualifications, and a passion for interior design that was unmatched. But she had also experienced the sting of rejection time and time again, and each rejection made her determination burn brighter. When she had seen the job posting for a design assistant at Everglow Interiors, she had jumped at the opportunity. The job was perfect for her skill set, and she felt an immediate connection to the company's ethos. She arrived early for her interview, with a portfolio in hand and her head held high. Thomas greeted her with a forced smile as she entered the sleek, minimalist office. He gestured for her to take a seat, but his eyes were already scanning her, sizing her up. Something Aisha noticed, but she chose not to let it affect her. "So, Aisha, tell me about your experience," Thomas said, opening a folder in front of him. Aisha launched into her well-practiced pitch, detailing her background in interior design, her past projects, and her passion for creating spaces that made people feel at home. Her voice was steady, her confidence unwavering. But Thomas didn't seem impressed. His gaze never wavered from the papers in front of him, and he barely looked her in the eye. He listened, but there was something about the way he responded that felt dismissive. "I see," he said finally, his tone flat. "You have a decent portfolio, but you're just not what we're looking for." Aisha's heart sank, but she fought to keep the disappointment out of her voice. "What do you mean?" she asked, trying to understand. "Well," Thomas said, leaning back in his chair, "we're looking for someone with a bit more experience. Someone who fits into our company culture, if you will." He paused, clearly searching for the right words. "We've had a very specific type of person in mind for this role. You understand, right?" Aisha's chest tightened. She had heard this before. She knew what it meant. "You're not what we want because you don't look like us." She stood up, offering a polite smile. "Thank you for your time, Mr. Reed. I appreciate the opportunity." But as she turned to leave, she couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't about her skills or qualifications. It was about something else, something far more personal and far more insidious. The rejection stung, but Aisha refused to let it defeat her. She had faced discrimination before, and she had always come out stronger. This was no different. She had bigger dreams than this small office, and she wasn't going to let one man's bias define her. What Thomas didn't know was that Aisha wasn't just any applicant. She was a woman on a mission, a woman with a vision. 2 weeks later, something happened that nobody saw coming. Aisha's phone rang early one morning, a number she didn't recognize flashing on the screen. She hesitated for a moment, then answered. "Hello?" "Hi, is this Aisha Johnson?" came the voice on the other end, a man's voice, calm and confident. "Yes, speaking." "This is Benjamin Carter," the voice said. "I'm calling on behalf of Everglow Interiors." Aisha's heart skipped a beat. Had they changed their mind? Was there some kind of mistake? She had no idea what to expect. "We've been reviewing your application and portfolio again, and we'd like to offer you a position with the company." Aisha's mind raced, disbelief flooding her thoughts. "Wait, I thought—" "Yes, I know," Benjamin continued. "I was informed that you were recently turned down by Mr. Reed, and after looking into it, we realized something wasn't right. We want to make sure you're given a fair chance." Aisha was stunned. "So, you want to offer me the job?" "Yes," Benjamin said, his voice firm. "In fact, we'd like to offer you a much higher position than the one you applied for. Senior Design Assistant. Your qualifications and portfolio are impressive, and we'd be honored to have you on the team." Aisha was speechless. It felt like a dream. But Benjamin wasn't finished. "You should know that Mr. Reed is no longer with the company," he added. "His leadership style and practices didn't align with our values. We've made some changes, and one of the first things we're doing is offering you a chance to join us. Someone who truly values diversity and talent." It took Aisha a moment to process everything. The weight of what had just happened, was overwhelming. Benjamin Carter, the new CEO of Everglow Interiors, had been watching from the sidelines for months, paying attention to what was happening inside the company. He knew about Thomas Reed's biases and had been preparing to make changes. When he saw Aisha's potential, he knew that she was exactly what the company needed to move forward. Aisha accepted the offer, and within days, she was stepping into her new role at Everglow Interiors, ready to make her mark on the company. But Thomas Reed? He was gone. His tenure as CEO had ended abruptly, and he had no idea that his refusal to see beyond his biases would cost him everything. And so, in a twist of fate, the business that once rejected Aisha now thrived under her leadership. A place where talent, diversity, and inclusion were no longer just words on a wall, but principles embedded in the very core of the company. Stay tuned for more incredible stories of triumph and change. Hit that subscribe button to see what happens next.